All right, today's day, I think 28 of coding every day until I get employed. So today I added a couple more features to my timer. The biggest thing I was trying to work on is figuring out how I want to switch between the Pomodoro and how I would like to switch between the short and long breaks. And so I guess it might be easier if I go into the code, but I'm just going to show this first. Basically, let me refresh the website so you can see. Oh, wait, no. But there's this Pomodoro counter. So this counter is basically going to count how many Pomodoro timers we've done so far. So once we hit 4, which is how many you want to do, it's going to shift to the long break. And I started at 3 just to check and to make sure that everything was working fine. And what I also did is it basically looks the exact same, but there are some differences. But it still works the same as last time, where I can add a 1, a 2, a 3, a 4, and whatever. 25 plus 25, 0.1, you know? Oh yeah, let me show this actually. So it's gonna go, it's gonna go, it's gonna go, it's gonna go. And then when it finishes going, you can see that it increased the count. Yeah, so let me get into the actual code. So I ended up adding a lot of things. And the biggest thing I added was I changed limit minutes to limit Pomo, like just for limit Pomodoro. And then I have a count, which was the count that you saw beforehand. And then I have a clock. And basically, what I'm doing here is with the clock, what I'm basically saying is the clock is going to be what indicates whether we're on the Pomodoro timer or whether we're on a short break, long break. So anytime that we end up reaching our limits, we're going to end up reusing that, because I didn't feel like having to overcomplicate it. So basically, right, the way it works is anytime I end up hitting the limit, the previous thing, which was limit minutes, which is just display. So display is going to be, oh, I forgot. Yeah, I also added display. So basically, okay, I'm just gonna go top to bottom. So this was the same as before. This is the same as before. Display. So display is going to be the current display of time on the right hand side, right? So that's going to be your current max, whether that's the Pomodoro time or whether that's your short break, long break. That's going to be display. Then I have limit Pomo, which is going to be the user entered value or the default value, which starts at 25 for the Pomodoro timer. Then I have limit short, which is going to be the limit for the short break. Again, this can be set to 5 minutes default. I put 0.2 for testing, so it can be set to 5-minute default, or it can be set to anything that the user wants for the short break, which I'm going to implement later. And then I have the count, which basically counts how many Pomodoros we've been through. And then I have the clock, and the clock is basically saying, hey, we're on our Pomodoro timer, or hey, we're on a short break timer, or hey, we're on the long break timer. And so I just ended up editing the use effect, right? So basically I say, hey, if the next time is greater than or equal to display, meaning that we hit the limit, then we're going to check that if we're at the Pomodoro, if the clock mod 4 equals 0, meaning that we've hit 4, so whether we hit 4, 8, 16, so anytime we do another grouping of 4, we're going to end up resetting our time, which ends up putting the green bar all the way back to the beginning, and then we end up setting our clock to long, because this is after we've done all the Pomodoros that we need for that little section, and then we end up, our set displays could be 15, which is the set display number. And I said, okay, else, meaning that we're still trying to reach 4. Then we set time to 0. Then we set our clock to short, and then we set the display to the limit short. So whatever limit short was before, whatever the user entered, and then our set count is gonna count plus 1, and it's supposed to start at 1 for count, but we started at 3 for testing. And then here we say, okay, if we're on our short, so meaning that we reached our limit, we're on short, so maybe we hit 5 minutes, we reset our time to 0. This does not need to be short. This needs to go back to Pomodoro. And then we need a set time. This was limit minutes, but this needs to be limit Pomodoro. And then if the clock is long, so I was working on that later. And that's basically what I have for today. I ended up working on this section with I think no chat. And it really did help me kind of just try to internalize some of the syntax and a little bit more of the logic. I'm not sure if this is the best way to do it, but this is what I did. So yeah, that's basically it for today.